the people see the 10, but they don't realize I failed at the 90 things. When you're specifically concentrating on one thing like placements, you're missing out on majority of the piece of the pie.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much sauce would you say you're giving in this?
Man, I'm up there. I'm up there at 10. But I think we have a responsibility to do that. And there's no such thing as sharing too much.
Niggas gonna be mad. Hold on.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we have legendary. I don't say legendary lightly either. We have legendary producer. Now, before I even get into the long list of credits, I have to say this. After you're done watching this interview, go back to the first one. If you haven't watched it for some reason. I watched it on the way here, but I watch it twice when I get back to the crib. So if you haven't watched the first interview, make sure y'all go back and watch it. But today, man, we have S1.
What's good, fellas? Man, glad to be here.
I mean, we could get into the credits, but that's going to be an hour itself, man. We got Ye, Eminem, Drake, 50 Cent, Beyonce, Logic. Like, so many people, man. We can get into this. Like I said, go back and watch the first interview. If you want to learn about relationships, just the come up of S1, man, go watch that first interview after you watch this one.
Yes, sir.
Besides that, man, how Atlanta been treating you, even though you say you just got
Been good, man. I flew in last night. And I'm here today, and I'm about to fly back out when I leave here. So, you know, been in and out, moving around a little more now. You know, I guess I can say coming out the pandemic. It's like we in at times and we out, but I don't know if we all the way still in it or not.
Facts. It kind of is like a blur right now. Like, what we doing?
Yeah.
It's opening it back up a little bit, but so you're from Dallas?
I'm from Waco. So I'm from Waco, Texas, but I've been in Dallas since like 2001.
How you feel like the music scene is getting out there in Texas, specifically like Houston, I would say? How you think it's looking like in the next 5 years?
Well, I'll just speak from like Texas in general. Like, man, Texas got a lot of budding rappers and producers, you know, specifically Dallas. I know we have some incredible talent there, man. And I think now you're starting to see more artists that's coming out and representing Texas and actually getting shine. So I think in the next 5 years, man, it's gonna be I think we'll be a staple to where a lot of industry people are coming down to search for artists from Texas, whether it be Houston or Dallas.
We've been talking like I feel like Atlanta still is at its like high right now, but it's not like 2015, 2016 wave. It's definitely at like I won't say a standstill, but it's like back then Atlanta went from here to whoosh. Right. Now Atlanta's like right here.
You think you think it's peaking to where
either Florida or Texas? Like I feel like one of those cities is about to be the new, like in the next 10 years is about to be the new like wave.
Yeah.
Atlanta really small. We really got like a small community out here. Like Texas big as hell.
Yeah, Texas is huge.
Really independent. Its own shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very independent, very spread out, so but I think now, because we're developing more community now, so I think that's the thing, and that's the one thing that I love about Atlanta. I think Atlanta has always been like community based, where producers are helping each other. Toronto is the same way. Like everybody kind of clicked up and was like, "Yo, how can we win together?" So I think Texas is getting that now.
So I know we left off at the interview, I think right before the coronavirus, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pre-pandemic.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about has like the pandemic affected your business in any way? Like what was that transition like from what you was doing before to when it hit?
Man, well, being fully transparent, I would say creatively and mentally, like I suffered a little. I can honestly say I suffered some. But business-wise, I elevated. It wasn't until I was able to sit down and come to a halt. That's when I was able to really focus on my business, and I started just learning. I started I had some mentors that started teaching me about online marketing, and I got real deep into like the Facebook and Instagram ads and being able to read the metrics and data and use that. And like I think just by me learning that and starting to apply that, I've done like 3 to 6x more business wise, revenue wise, in my e-commerce business. But it wasn't because it was only because I was able to sit down, and because I was sit down and able to learn these things, that I was able to elevate in my business.
Coronavirus was a big like eye opener for e-commerce itself.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
I know in the last interview, y'all had talked about mainly a producer and moving in the industry, relationships. This interview, I really want to focus on something that's very slept on, and that's producer brand. Like
Hmm.
it's a lot of these guys where it's like, the placements, the sync, all that stuff is a revenue. You know what I'm saying? Different revenue, but you have a revenue of producer brand where you could literally, like you say, triple what you make,
Yeah,
10 times what you make.
it's so true. Yeah.
Producers sleep on that.
Hmm. And I think as the producer community sometimes get caught up in just placements or just one specific thing, when in reality it's about having like you say, the branding part, which allows you to have multiple things going on, because at that point it's about your brand, not the individual thing that you're concentrating on. And I think when you're specifically concentrating on one thing like placements, you're missing out on you're missing out on majority of piece of the pie, because you're just focused on that one thing, you know. And I can honestly say, if I was just focused on one thing, like I'd probably have to go get a 9 to 5, a corporate job somewhere. But it's because I was able to build my brand and have multiple streams of income and have these multiple projects and things going on, that I'm very comfortable, So I commend all the producers that see that and see that, you have to get out there and brand yourself and create multiple streams of income.
What are some revenues like let's say like we know obviously like kits and stuff like that, but what are like some underrated revenues as far as like producer brand that you could take advantage of?
I would say, as far as like producer brand, you can do it's so many things. You can of course, like your YouTube, you got your e-commerce, what you just said, like where you're selling kits and things of that sort. You can release uh instrumentals, release that to your to DSPs. And you can do consultations. There's so many up and coming producers that's looking to learn how to produce and want to know different processes and how to go about doing certain things. So you can do that. You can do tutorials. You can do one-on-one consultations. Um, Man, it's just so much you can do. It's so much you can do.
So let's talk about Project Impact. I was looking at it
Are you?
earlier today. Let's go ahead and get straight into that. I want to know what that is.
So yeah, Project Impact is basically, I teamed up with Larry O. Y'all familiar with Larry O and the guys at Cymatics, and we created this 6-week online curriculum to where I'm the instructor, and I'm basically just taking my 20 plus years of experience and sharing information and sharing techniques. And we set up to where this 6-week course is like almost like a boot camp, producer boot camp. And within this, I have multiple workshops, like drum programming workshops. I go through like sampling, my process of making samples. I go through even have like an industry workshop to where I'm showing you how to land placements and your mindset, daily practices, all these different things that I'm just sharing information to make the producer better and go to the next level in their career.
But like that's very important. Like, don't get me wrong, tutorials are good. You feel me? You do tutorials, of course, but it's only so much that stuff could take you.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I know when I started out, I literally was in community college for like a couple weeks. I said forget that. I went to this engineering school, and it was more like a mentorship. And I don't want to really like talk about the school. I want to talk about the mentorship part. Like that's a very, very big part as far as like beginner producers and their growth. You feel me? I feel like, did you have a mentor?
Of course.
Everybody could say, I won't say everybody, but most people could say you had a mentor throughout your career. You feel me? That mentorship is very, very important. Yes, sir.
It's also important that a lot of us, I always hear producers like, I wouldn't pay for any information. You know what I'm saying? I see on social media a lot of producers are frowning upon paying for information, paying for courses. But I honestly feel like it's a saying that the game is free, But when you pay for it, you really, really take value in it. Because
Yeah, you appreciate it
saying?
more. You have more appreciation. You know, it's no different from you purchasing your own car or your parents buying the car for you or someone buying the car for you. You know, you're gonna take way more care of that thing or that car if you spending your hard earned money on it as opposed to someone giving you that car. You know, so it's the same thing. You know, you have you have so much more value in something when you pay for it.
I advise younger producers to definitely invest into courses of people that are credible.
Yeah, because another thing you have these schools like I'll just take my son for instance. Like he moved to Pasadena to go to this music school out there, and it was a 2-year program, and the cost was like 70 to 80K for the 2 years. But you know, you ask him now, like, was that beneficial? And he's like, no, I learned more from you, you know, just being around you than I did that full 2 years of being out in school, because you have these instructors that that are not really in the music industry or haven't accomplished anything in the music industry. They're just going textbook based of what they think it
History
should
of
be.
microphones, like
Yeah.
what? The history of microphones. Okay,
Exactly,
What you mean?
exactly. So, like, even with this Project Impact, it's like, okay, how can I use my experience since I've actually been in the studio with these artists? I've actually did multiple co-publishing deals and did multiple song deals with these labels. How can I share that information with people? You know, because I've actually had the experience in doing those things. So I think that's more important, just getting it from people that's actually done it, as opposed to getting it from people that are just telling you about how to do it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much sauce would you say you're giving in this?
Man, I'm up there. I'm up there at 10.
Yeah, that 10.
Yeah.
How do you feel about producers? Like, are you worried about sharing too much sauce? I feel like a lot of industry producers be like, it'd be some simple stuff too. Like, I wish on your master it's a soft clip, but they'll be like, I'm not gonna tell you that's my sauce, bro.
Oh man, I feel I feel it's our responsibility. I feel like so many people have gave me information, which was life changing, and just being able to take that information and apply it in certain ways. So I feel like it's my responsibility to share information for, you know, producers that's trying to do what whatever I've been able to accomplish. They're trying to set out to do the same thing. So I think it's important that we pay it forward and be able to give this information. And then at that moment, it's just a matter of them receiving that information and then also applying that information as well. But I think we have a responsibility to do that. And there's no such thing as sharing too much. You know, I think there's no such thing as sharing too much.
Do you have anything that makes the producers hold themselves accountable? Like, we need you to do this, like homework type shit. Like, do you have anything that helps them hold themselves accountable?
Man, I think that's so important. Producers who I've been able to, or blessed, I'd say blessed to sign and work with over the past 10 years, it was always me putting them in a certain mindset to handle certain things. So if I know that we're going to be working on an Eminem album and I'm bringing certain of my producers to help me with certain joints, it never was just, yo, go do this. It was getting on the phone and having these conversations with them about certain things. And it was giving them certain tasks, maybe not not the big task yet, but giving them small tasks to do to see how they're elevating, how they're handling certain things before I introduce this big task to them. So it's like mindset. It's like mindset preparation and mindset adaptation, like changing people's mindset to be able to handle certain situations when they come into it. So I feel like that's very important to, just to be able to prep people's mind for what's about to happen or situations that they're about to come into, so they can be able to handle that and make that, create longevity from that.
I feel like now in today's game, the relationship, just that relationship building mindset and just speaking is slightly more important now than the production itself right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing we hate to do too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because we really introverts. Like,
yeah, we are.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing with me. Like, I hate speaking in front of large groups of people, and I hate interacting on social media. However, I knew at some point, and this was probably when I knew when I wrote my book, I was like, okay, I know I hate speaking in front of a large audience, but this is going to be part of it. So I was like, I have to prepare for that. So I started doing. I hired me a speaking coach, and just started to learn in that area because I knew once I got out there, I would have to know how to communicate, and I knew how I would learn how to. I would have to know how to, just be able to interact with people more, and because that sells. But I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to. So that's another thing too. As producers and creatives, we have to know how to grow in certain areas and learn to be uncomfortable, learn to jump out there and those things that we don't like doing, go ahead and jump out there and do those and get better at that because that's going to take you farther in your career, in your branding, in your opportunities. Certain opportunities come from just being a better speaker and being able to do this. So yeah, I totally agree with you guys on that.
In 2022, like how would you go about maintaining like relationships with new artists that you meet? Like how would you go about the conversation, especially for younger producers?
That's a good question. I would just the main thing I would say is just being sincere in your approach and not overdoing it. I think sometimes we, producers can get too aggressive in their approach, sending sending emails uh, uh, every day to people and then not greeting them correctly, just sending these blind emails to people. That's that's a 100% way to fail is, or to not get someone to open your email is to blind send stuff every day. Blind send emails without a greeting or be like, yo, what's good? Do you mind if I send you something to your email? Send you beats to your email, as opposed to just blind sending. So it's just like realizing the proper way to do things. I think that's very important, and that's things that we need to learn more of too.
Put you in a scenario. You're going through your DMs. What are like red flags you seeing? Like, nope, seen, delete.
Yo, I got this beat for Kanye. Can you?
People really do that, bro?
Oh my God.
All the time.
Are you first if I ask you, are you open to like screen recordings? Let's say someone send you a screen recording. Hey, listen to this loop. This loop is fire. Or listen to this sample. Or listen. Like, do you even listen to those? You don't mind those at all?
I don't mind it. It's just the approach.
Okay, so let's say if someone's DM you a beat, hey, listen to this beat. This joint fire. Those samples, bro. I just want a little percentage. Can you work it? What are you doing?
Man, to be honest, that's a turnoff. When folks start approaching that way, it's just a turnoff because it's like, yo, let me get to know you first.
Facts.
Don't just jump into it. Let me know about you. Let me know exactly what you're about. How long you been producing? What are you using? What part of the country are you in? Let's have a conversation first. So yeah, I think that's a big turnoff when people approach that way.
What's an incentive that somebody can give you, like a piece of value that make you say, oh shit, let me hit him right back? Mm-hmm.
I mean, and nothing specifically. I think it's just how they communicate certain things. Just coming from a sincere place. It can be the conversation don't even have to be like, yo, can I send you beats? Or yo, can we collaborate? Or it has to be something completely different, that makes me want to engage and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. Or yeah, just make me want to know more about you, more about what you do. And then from that transitions into, man, send me some loops over, I'll see what you got, but I like I say, just going back, I think we just need to change, or producers need to change the approach. Because you can only do that so many times before you get completely blocked from somebody.
What do you think is more effective, like face to face? Like you just came down here to Atlanta to do business, or you're going to LA to do business, or you feel like the internet is still like so more effective? Like what do you think?
The internet is definitely effective, very effective. But there's nothing like face to face, man. It's just an exchange of energy that you're not gonna get through the internet.
True.
I always say that even like with artists, you know, sending beats is so different from being in a room with someone and playing them beats, because at that time you can sell it more. You can have conversations. You can actually also control the environment of what they're listening to. Because sometimes you can send an artist a beat and they may just pull it on their phone and they're not gonna get the same effect as if you guys in the studio and you playing it on the monitors. So like controlled environments and just the passing of each other's energy back to back, the conversations, that may lead into the creation of a song, and those are things that you don't get from an email or a DM.
Yeah, we had June James was on here, June the Genius, and he was saying that back in the day, a producer and an artist will have to like link up, maybe go out to eat, go somewhere, read our character, you know what I'm saying? Then go in the studio and work. So with the internet, it's kind of like what I try to do is when it comes to DMs and stuff like that, if I'm reaching out to somebody, I'm gonna see what we have in common, and I'm gonna talk about whatever we have in common first, you know what I'm saying? Because you can try to mimic that through the internet, like get to know somebody, try to call people, send voice messages, like try to get the real energy to come through instead of it looking like just a text and just being like, let me leech out of you. You know what I'm saying? Let me be greedy. Like that's how it looks without the real
You're right.
human energy. You know
And it may
saying?
not be that, but it can come off like that. Yeah. Without you knowing. Internet is still good. Like great things can still happen from that. The opportunity I've seen everyday opportunity happening from that. So don't count that out. I'm just saying, try to make face to face be more of a priority.
I feel like the playbook 2022 is like, don't get me wrong, sending out samples. You was a sample maker. That's hard. And there's hella sample makers that come up every year doing that tactic.
Oh, absolutely.
But every year it gets saturated.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to go the internet route in 2022, that's where that producer brand comes in. But let me make tutorials. Let me drop kits. You build that producer brand. Then you take that income, fly out to Atlanta, fly out to LA, fly out to Miami, and start
Absolutely
building connections. I feel like that's the sweet spot. That's the little playbook right now.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And it's really just being unique in your approach, man. You just saying about the sample game, like it's so saturated now. So it's about like if you trying to come in, it's like, okay, how can I be unique? How can I be different coming into this world? How can I go a completely different route of everybody's on this side doing this? How can I be the scapegoat and do something completely different that's going to make me stand out, from the rest? So it's just being creative, being more creative on your approach.
How important do you think it is to fail in order to succeed in this industry?
People that know me know that I've always said I credit a lot of my success to a lot of my failure. And the reason why I say that is because failure has taught me, I've learned so much, or failure has taught me a lot more than my success has. It's in those failures to where I learned certain things or even gained a certain thickness of skin that I needed, that took me to that success. There's been multiple moments. Even in my book that I wrote a couple years ago, I had a chapter in there called "No Failure, No Fuel," and that basically was just saying like it was when the moments that I was failing, those were the moments where I was going back in the lab to better myself and to get better my craft. So when I came back to that certain situation, I'd be better, I'd be stronger. So every time I was failing, I was actually elevating and I was growing and I was evolving as a creative, until I got to that success. So, you got to learn to embrace failure because it's a part of the process, and some people are scared to fail. But once you embrace that's part of the process, then you don't have that fear of failing, and you'll go through that process of failing to be able to succeed.
Did you ever have moments where you feel like it was just not never work out? Like, what do you do in those exact moments? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we all have those moments. Like that's just the human side. And as long as I've been in the industry, like I still have those moments sometimes. But it's just a matter of pushing through those moments because I know that's part of the process. It's just a matter of pushing through that. You know, it's why you say that?
This man said he had it. I gotta run. Hold on,
No,
let me run
crazy,
back to
yeah.
these. So the guy who produced like, okay.
But see, now I gotta ask this question because even with that, and you're saying that this is something that's like ongoing. It's not like you get to this paradise level and you're like, oh, doubts. But do you think that, and what you're saying, that being transparent, do you think social media makes it
Absolutely
like, deeper now? Like, oh shit, I can't do
absolutely.
anything.
Because what happens when you deal with social media, you start to look at other people's journey and other people's successes. And no matter where you are in your career or your life, social media can have an effect on, just by looking at others. And instead of using it for inspiration, what we should be using it for, sometimes you can be like, man, I feel like I should be in this position, or man, like what am I doing wrong that they're doing? But everyone's success is unique to them. What's for me is for me. What's for you is for you. So you have to realize that. And I think with the, just with the doubting, you got to realize that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. Like that's just part of the journey. So once you embrace that even more, then you begin to you begin to grow, and then you begin to work through those doubts and realize that, hey, this is a part of it. However, I'm able to grow from this, and I'm able to better myself because of it. And you start to realize that everybody goes through that same thing. Like I've been in sessions with artists having conversations, and just like you guys just said, dang, you did all this work and you still have doubts. Like I've been in sessions with artists that have sold countless records and hear them say the same thing. So you start to realize like, hey, this is just a natural human behavior, but it's just a matter of just pushing through that, because it's just, you only can have that moment. You only can keep it as a moment. Keep that doubt for a moment. Don't let it take over completely of your whole being.
I feel like mental health is a big part. Mental health and really surrounding yourself around other people who do the same thing. Because, bro, you could be making the hardest beats in your crib, but as long as you're in your crib and you're the only one that hearing it, and you're making 1,000 of those, after a while, you're going to be like, you're going to be boxed in like, oh, this is trash. Whole time, you ain't give it to the world yet.
You ain't give it to the world to
listening
see.
to
That's
it,
right.
they're like, oh, you feel me?
Nah, that's so true.
A producer going through like mental health, what advice would you give her?
Step away, detach. Us as creators, we love to like stay in it, and we feel like if we're not in it, like that's a bad thing. But I think it's more efficient for us to step away from the work sometime. Detach. I'll do these things now to where, like I love working on the week, Monday through Friday, and not doing any music on Saturday and Sunday. I love doing that because that allows me to be focused from Monday through Friday, but then also to live and detach from that on Saturday and Sunday, and go spend time with my parents or my wife or my grandkids, and do other things. So when I come back on Monday, like I'm super fresh and I got fresh ears and I'm going into it. I'm excited because I missed those 2 days of work, and like I'm really excited to get back in and work. So it just keeps me fresh. It keeps me excited, and then it gives me a good balance to where I'm just not working. So yeah, I really think that it helps with mental health as well. It helps with our mental health because, man, we're overthinkers. We can be in it for so long that we're overthinking, and it's until we step outside of it and look at it from outside looking in, we can realize and see what it really is, and then we can hop back into it once we get a good view on that.
feel like a big part of my adjusting this year but really been time management.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too, man.
I feel like it's two things into it. Like you could be just jumbled up with a whole bunch of things. But it's like, okay, focus on one thing. But at the same time, you could actually be doing like little productive things, but what actually like matters to your goal. You feel me?
I always say like don't confuse being busy with being productive. There's two separate things. I think sometimes we'll fill up our calendars with things just to make us feel like we're busy and doing things. But it's like how many of those things are getting you closer to your goal? How many of those things that you have on your schedule are getting you closer to where you're trying to be? You know, and when you look at it, a lot of those things aren't. We're just doing things just to make us feel like we're doing things. You know, so we're not productive. We're just busy.
So I feel like it's so important to have like producer impact project impact or like, you know, just that mentorship or these courses. Cause it's like at the same time, you have something for motivation. Like you're just not doing this off the strength of.
That's right.
You always have something that's motivating you. And just by being in a room full of producers around you or someone speaking or just watching this, like it could just motivate you just to go another 24 hours. That other 24 hours could have been that beat that got you to now you're across the seat and we're talking to you now. You feel me?
Yeah, that's so true. And with that project impact, I know from experience that it's so much more than just making a beat and trying to get a placement. Like there's a mental aspect of it. There's a mindset asset to it that you have to be your mind has to be prepped for. You know, you have to be there's a relationship side. You know, you have to know how to network. You have to know how to speak with people and approach people and there's so many little pieces that I feel like we don't discuss as a producer community that's left out of just make a dope beat and get the placement from it.
You know, that's what's some little pieces. Like talk about some of the little pieces. You know, we gotta get some.
I'm telling you, it's like daily routines. Having a daily routine is super important, as opposed to just getting up and be like, okay, this is what my days or whatever. You know, because you realize you're not really getting anything done. You know, if you can't look back at your week and say what you actually done, like you're not being productive. You know, so it's like little things like that, like developing a daily routine based around the overall goal of what you're trying to accomplish. Because once you set an overall goal, that's going to tell you what your daily routine is going to be. You know, because that's going to depict you getting to the goal. You know, yeah, so it's just like little things like that, like just how to prepare your mind for certain things and daily routines, and make sure you're sharpening your skills every day. Putting the 10,000 hours in, and just make sure you're being consistent. You know, a lot of reaching your success is gonna be just being consistent with whatever you're trying to do, doing it every day. You know, doing it. Having a set pattern for when you're doing it, because that's what's going to carry you the long way. And that's how you're going to create the success that you're trying to create.
What would you say about the factor of sometimes the producer having to be the person that takes initiative? Like we're in the room and you have to play the beat and you're like, hey, you should get on this. Like you're making people feel like they need to go this way. Or if you know how the business goes, instead of you waiting and saying, damn, this isn't going right. Hey, come stand over here. Come do this. Hey, we've got to put this together. You know what I'm saying? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of, when I jumped into executive producing, like I'm executive producing a project right now, and I feel like you have to, as creatives, we have to step more into that role, because, like you say, just doing that one thing, it could be the pivoting moment for us getting to where we're trying to go, as opposed to just sitting back and just letting it go by. And then it's like, okay, nothing happened from that. But that one move that you make could be the factor that takes that idea to the next level, or takes that task or that project to the next level. So yeah, it's about being more engaging more. When I'm in sessions and I'm playing beats, it's like that. Like, yo, check this. yo, I got this melody idea. Check this. What you think about this? And just trying things and just stepping out there. It might not be the right idea, but at least you tried. You can move on to something else. Oh, what about this? Oh, I got this pattern. What if you rhyme on the pattern like this? And that those little key things that you do could be the point that gets that ball moving more. So yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, you have to be more engaging, and just don't be fearful to throw ideas out.
So you're gonna get a no. Like it's
You're
not
gonna get a no. Just go ahead and accept that. But it's like the more chances that you take on yourself and on your ideas, the more possibility that opportunity is gonna become something.
It's all a probability game, bro.
Yeah, it really is. I can. It was man. It was one point in my career I can honestly say where people were hitting me. It was like, yo, how are you doing all this? Like, how you get on this project, and you working on this? And I would break it down. I'm like, yo, in this period, I worked on 100 things. Now, because I worked on 100 things, 10 of them stuck. And it was on this album, and this wound up here, this wound up here. 90 of them didn't. 90 of them failed. The people see the 10, but they don't realize I failed at the 90 things.
Ooh, yeah, that's deep, though.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Only if they
yeah.
seen it, man. Only if they seen it.
Probability, man.
Was it the last interview you said, yeah, hit you with the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know you ain't play this shit.
You got to have those moments sometimes, man.
People don't understand, bro. People think it's sweet in that room.
Yeah,
It's not sweet in that
Especially
room
when it's your
sometimes.
first time you walk in there and nobody knows you, especially with the... Like, we young. We with the young. Like, bro, that...
Yeah.
Play beat right. You just standing there.
Yeah, play
The beat
show.
playing.
Hey,
Yo,
go get the ox.
I really used to hate playing I really used to hate playing music in front of people. I used to hate taking A&R meetings because you go in there and you playing the music and sometimes they just like sitting on their phone and it's like you just sitting there like, man, do they like it? And it makes you feel a certain way, because our beats are our babies. You know what I'm saying? So when you're not getting the reaction or the response that you feel that you should be getting, like it makes us feel a certain way. But you got to realize too that everything ain't for everyone, and that's what I learned to realize. Like, okay, I did this beat. These might not work for this person. They may not like it, or it may not fit what they like it, but it's for somebody. It's just me finding out who's in this this lane that I'm in with these beats, and just making sure they align. And once they align, it's like, okay, oh, I love this beat. Like let me have this. I'm gonna create a song for this. So it's just about aligning vibes with the artists, as opposed to trying to force it on them. And just knowing that, okay, this is not for this person, but it's for some artists out there. I just got to find out who.
I feel like going a little bit off topic. Like a lot of producers, they watch this and they'll sign up for Project Impact, and they're looking for that. All right, 2.5 plus 2.5 equals exactly this. So if I do this, that, it's exactly that. When it's like, bro, it's more like, I feel like it's more like a mindset thing.
Yeah.
As far as this like relationship and just trying to find these placements. Like it's not okay. I don't watch this interview. Now I'm gonna just go on my phone and just hit up some random guy and be like, yo, I like your music. You ain't even listen to his music. You just lied. I like your music. Can you pay me $50? I'm gonna send you this beat. Bro, you're not gonna get nowhere, gang. Like, it don't work like that, bro.
It
You
don't
feel
work
me?
like that.
But if you actually think of a business mindset, like, for example, first you gotta find people. I feel like producers, the biggest problem is you bring your business to people who's not even.
Yeah, they're not in the
Yeah,
game.
no,
that's
They're
true.
not
They're not even trying to
they ain't
spend.
to
That's
get
true.
that.
That's true.
When you sit and think though, for example, Bricks posted the other day, bro. He posted I think Gucci Man said he was signing artists from 1017. And he said, bro, all these comments are finna be artists who wants to get signed. So now you got like 1,000 comments full of artists. That's 1,000 artists who are interested, who need beats. You feel me?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Or you go to a guy who a popular producer who sell beats and they post here's some free beats. So you know what I'm saying? They make some
Right.
posts. All those people in their comments are gonna be artists. But
Exactly.
those times, these are artists who actually buy beats this time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's a mindset
It's a-
thing. Like, sit
man.
back and think for a little bit, bro. You feel me? Like,
Be strategic, man. Be strategic. and you know, it goes back to producers wanting stuff the easy way. You know, they want it just to be cookie cutter, everything template based. This is how you do it, and it's like, nah, it doesn't work like that.
Because social media makes it look like
Exactly.
Yeah, it does.
with all the people you don't work with, I ain't gonna lie. If it was Chris Carl's episode, bro, I'm in your shoes. When we had walked in a little bit late, I would have looked at it, I would have been like, y'all niggas playing with my time. $50 for that.
Exactly. Okay.
So like what are your goals right now? What else is there for you?
I think for me, it's more so about how can I serve more? You know, so things that I do now in projects that I'm involved with, it's like being of service. It's what's a good term for it? Yeah, it's just being of service. How can I be more of service? So for instance, with the project impact, it's like, okay, I'm being able to give producers so much valuable information to help them level up in their careers. You know, I also teamed up with, I got one of my guys, his name is Jamil. He's an amazing producer and sound designer who I work with on my Yeezus pack. So like him and this company called Producer Sources, like I teamed up with them. I'm finna start dropping a line of VSTs and plugins, you know, and you know, just being able to be innovative and creative and being able to be just a stepping stone for people and just sharing my knowledge, man. Also, I would say like even like project wise, like I'm only working on projects that excite me and projects that I'm able to really be a part of, as opposed to just sending a beat here or trying to get on this project. It's like, no, what projects or artists that I'm excited about? Like, let me work on those and being more just being more selective on what I work in, on what I work on, you know, the projects that I feel good about and I'm happy about being a part of, you know. So just really just fine tuning and honing in on doing more of the things that make me happy and less of the things that make me feel like I'm working.
Once it feel like a job, it's a wrap for me.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I done clocked in, man. Let me turn Netflix
Yeah.
on real quick.
Yeah, so you got to keep it fun. You got to keep it exciting, you know, because that's where the inspiration comes from, is being excited, not feeling like, dang, I got to go do this again. I got to go do this session again. Dang, they want me to make these beats for this sound like this or to fit this type of vibe that and when I'm not mentally in that vibe, you know, that's the type of stuff I'm trying to stay away from. So I'm just trying to do more of what I love.
So I know last interview we talked about like your daily routine. Kind of give us the rundown of what that looks like now, the day after the pandemic.
I can honestly say during the pandemic, at times it's been inconsistent. I'm not gonna lie, you know, but I'll have these moments to where when I'm inconsistent and I know that I'm taking on like a big project or something that I know I need to be in the proper space for, I know how to snap back in real quick. And it's like, okay, for the next 30 days, for the next 60 days, this is what it's going to be. And it's always making sure I'm up early, because I love to I'm an early bird. So I love to get up 7:00 and, you know, get my workout on, you know, make sure I'm just, you know, and it's as simple as walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes just to get the blood pumping. And what I do also is I love listening to positive podcasts, you know, so instead of working out to music, it's like, okay, while I'm working out, I'm gonna also be listening to some positive, you know, just to transform my mind while I'm working out, my physical, you know, getting my mental space good as well. So I'll do that. After that, I go back and I've been doing voiceover stuff lately too. So I dedicate like from 9 to 11 is straight just me working on auditions, voiceover auditions. You know, so I do that. After 11:00, you know, I'll eat me some lunch and then I'll hit the studio about 12, and I'll give a good 6 hours of 6 focused hours in the studio. Phone on airplane mode, because we all know that this is the biggest distraction, period. You know, social media, receiving texts, receiving alerts from my social media, IG and Twitter and all that. You know, so I'll airplane mode my phone and I'll go hard for whatever the task is for the studio, about 6 hours, and then I'm enjoying my day after that.
I feel like the biggest part of that, which I ain't really thought of until you just said it, is like in the morning time, bro. You gotta prep your mind and body. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I just realized, like, when I be having my slump days, I get about to bed and they start sneezing and bro. I can tell you, once I do that, when I get up and I just do that, bro, I'm on the couch.
Yeah.
Today, man.
And one of the worst things we can do when we first get up is grab our phone, and that's what we usually do. Like it's habit to do that. But man, it's this thing right here can like set your day up
Facts.
for either good or bad. And most of the time it's bad because you're gonna wake up to text, you're gonna wake up to, you're gonna get lost in the loop of social media. Because you know, once you lock in on that timeline and get to scrolling, it becomes like FOMO almost, like a fear of missing out on something, and you just locked in
Do a whole hour. You ain't even leave the
a
room.
whole hour, and you hadn't. Yeah. So it's like, nah, go ahead and get up. You know, get your blood pumping. You know, I'm a coffee guy, so I'll make my coffee after I get back from working out, and yeah, just get your mind right. In the listening to podcasts and even interviews now, I'll listen to some dope interviews because I see myself gaining so much inspiration from just hearing other people's stories. You know, that's why I love listening to interviews. The interviews you guys have, you know, I love listening. Like Earn Your Leisure, they like financial investing. You know, so I'm big into that. So I listen to that. I listen to Drink Champs. Love the Drink Champ stuff. So, you know, just listening to other people's stories, I feel myself gaining a lot of inspiration and a lot of motivation from just hearing how others are other people's journey.
I definitely gotta pick back up on waking up and start exercising, man. You gotta do that, bro. You get up out the bed, you lay down for like 8 some hours, bro. Your body just ain't finna just hop up and, all right, let go.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And like I say, the pandemic, you know, pandemic kind of played a big toll on my creative and mental space too, because, you know, I think once the pandemic hit and I'm in the studio by myself every day, I realized how much inspiration was coming from me traveling different places and getting in the studio with different places, you know, collaborating, you know, because there's only so much inspiration I can pull from these 4 walls by myself, you know, every day. You know, there was nothing coming. So it kind of let me know, like, man, interaction is so important. Having conversations with people is so important. You know, getting out, doing other things is so important because all that's contributing to me being inspired.
Let's talk about the production side. Let me ask you a question. I need you to be honest too.
All right.
What are like red flags you're seeing now in production? That's like,
He said,
Niggas finna be mad. Hold on.
in terms of, let's be more specific. In terms of what?
He
Shit.
said be more specific.
In terms of like sound, in terms of process, in terms of
Being in the producer community, hearing the beats, like anything. You could touch on anything, the process, the sound. Add the key 808s, like you can touch on anything.
yeah. I mean, it's always been like that. It's not just now. I think there's always gonna be moments of people that's, I'll just say, not less talented, but that doesn't predict the success of someone. You know, it doesn't, and that just shows you right there that it's not about the production. Sometimes it's not about how hard your beat is.
Oh, okay. Now he's speaking. No, he's speaking real. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I mean, it's the truth. It's not about that. So, you know, but it's always gonna be things that I don't like, you know, or things that I think that could be better. You know, that's just part of the game.
Yeah, he tried to keep it. He ain't want to. He tried to go already with it. He was like, y'all not finna catch me no Instagram post today. I got me chopped.
Dang, that was a smooth answer.
That was smooth, bro. That was a PR answer right there. Bro said, man, he already knew. That's one.
Shit.
Your beats are trash. 300 comments.
No cat.
I tried.
And then y'all know the game, the producer game is so oversaturated right now. You're gonna get that. There's no way around it.
Let's talk about the process of you making a beat. What's your process like when you sit down and create something new?
My process, it often changes because it just depends on what space I'm in. But most of the time with me, it starts with usually a sound. Like I love just going through sounds, and it could be just one shot sound that I hear and come across like, oh, that sparks something, and I pull it in my sampler and just start messing with it. And you know, so it just depends on where the inspiration is coming from. It could be me hopping on, just turning on one of my synths and going through some of the presets, or even just twisting the knobs on it, and I come across a sound that inspires me, and then it's like, oh, I hear something for this. You know, so there's no set way of my process. It just, you know, whatever I'm feeling at that moment.
What do you feel like producers should spend on the most? Like, what's the most important part when you're making that beat? Like sound selection, mixing. Like, what's the most important part?
I think the most they should spend on is the feeling, getting the feeling out. I always say feeling over technicality. So it's like getting that first feeling out, that natural feeling, the organic feeling out, and then you can go back and tweak and do certain things. But I think the first feeling, the most authentic feeling that you're gonna get, is what should be the foundation of whatever you're doing. You know, because that's what's gonna transcend, and that's what people are gonna feel. And then you can go into like, okay, I need to arrange this correctly so it makes sense to people. But get that initial emotion out into your DAW. Translate that into your DAW first, and that should be the approach. That should be the most time, and not even the most time spent, because the most time spent can be on the technicality part. But I think the feeling should be the foundation of the idea. Should always be the foundation of the idea.
What are you producing in right now? I know you jump between a lot of DAWs.
Yeah.
What you mainly in right now?
I've been mainly in Ableton. Yeah, I've been in Ableton a lot. And then when I get tired of Ableton, I'll jump in FL for a few days, and then I'll go back to Ableton.
Man, just come over to FL game. Just stop.
Are both of y'all straight FL?
Come to FL.
Shout out Image Line.
You can hook up the profits and all that stuff to it too. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Forget Ableton, man.
Yeah, I'm sure y'all tried Ableton. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been using it because like I see a lot of sample makers say the process is a little bit more easier in Ableton. So I've been messing around with it. I'm not gonna lie, Ableton's it's goated. But you know, ain't nothing like Fruity Loops. You know?
I use Fruity Loops for the drums is still untouched coming out of Fruity Loops, man. Like I'm just being honest.
You know, we know.
That was like the main reason why I started even trying FL, is because it's like, man, I couldn't get my drums sounding in any other DAW like FL. It just couldn't do it. No matter what I was putting on my master, no matter what the processing, I couldn't. So I was like, yo, I gotta use this for at least drums.
You used Logic before?
Never used Logic before. Never.
Logic give you like a fat ass drum sound. Like there's more space in there or something. Like Pro Tools has like a more headroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how Logic is. I like the sound of their drums.
I don't get no folk no clout, man.
I just feel like that step sequencer and the way that we can arrange just in FL, they kind of just give it to us right there. Like here, everywhere else you got to build this shit.
Yeah, and it took me a while to grasp mentally how to grasp just the layout of FL, because, you know, it's playlists. It's not like tracks, you know? So once I understood that, I was like, oh, okay, this is completely different than your typical DAW, you know, as how the layout is. But once I got that, it's like, oh, okay, I see how it is now. And then you realize how simple it is to get an idea in. It's incredibly simple.
Let's flip it. Let's talk about the studio setup. I know you said you was talking about a couple simps. Like, give us the rundown of your. I'm trying to close my eyes while you say this. Give us the rundown of the studio setup, the gear.
So since I have a Mellotron, I have a Sub 37 Moog, I have a Juno 106, I have a OB what is it? OB6? Yeah, OB6. I had a Prophet Rev 2. I just sold it because I'm gonna get a Prophet 5.
How much you sold that joint for?
Man, I think I sold that mother for like $1,400.
Damn, gotcha.
I think I sold it for.
I got the desktop module though. I don't got
Oh, you
the
got the
kit.
desktop? Yeah, I got the desktop of the OB6. So yeah, I got that. Yeah, and I'm just trying to see what I want to get next, but I'm gonna get me another one or two. I'm thinking Prophet 5, but then I've been looking at like just some different stuff like the Arteria Polybrute or the y'all heard of the Super 6? UDO Super 6?
Mm-mm.
Man, I've been researching that. And one of my homies, Epic Pro, he bought one, and I just been hearing how amazing it is. Like, it's just incredible. So I might go to a different route. You know, it will be typical for me to just go get a Prophet 5 because that's what most people know. But then to go get the synth that nobody nobody knows about more, I'll probably do that, just to be able to explore more and just to get different sounds and catch different vibes from something that's a little bit more under the table.
You got any like effects that you run through?
I have I got the SSL Fusion. I have and it's just my processors. I have a UA 610, LA 610. Yeah, I have an LA 610. I have the Apollo X8.
I'm gonna find my way down Dallas. Don't worry. Find my way down there.
Apollo X8. About to get more into guitar pedals. Just running my stuff through guitar pedals. Yeah.
I just got my brother just sent me the Mood joint. I just got into like all the hardware stuff because don't get me wrong, man. You can do this on a laptop, but like I was feeling like in a slump, like damn. And then I was like, let me get into some hardware. So I got a Rev 2.
How you feeling in Rev 2?
I love it, man.
Yeah,
ain't gonna
man.
lie.
You can hear the difference.
I just been doing some stuff now. Like I just learned this with Analog Lab. Like you could actually because like people do like Analog Lab banks and stuff. But you could actually take a WAV file, like a one shot, and put it into Mellotron, or there's another one called, it starts with an R, I don't know how to pronounce it. And you could run like the processing through that. So I've been taking like a lot of
that's
sound through the
dope.
Prophet, exporting it, throw it in Analog Lab, and running through those virtual pedals and
Oh,
stuff.
that's crazy.
But like, bro, that, I got the Therme. Really haven't played too much with the guitar pedals, but like more of the story is, just been playing around. It's don't be, what I'm saying, afraid to experiment.
Don't be afraid to experiment, because that's where the magic is, to be honest. In the experimentation and exploring certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different sound too, Yeah. So another thing is like collaboration. I've been telling producers a lot.
So important.
When I do like one-on-one sessions, bro. It was just one person, he sent the beat. He was like, how you like the sample? And I was like, bro, don't get me wrong, like the guitar was fire, but like I could tell that's from a VST gang. Like, nah, what I'm supposed to do? I don't play guitar. Bro, sometimes you gotta think of it like this. Hey, yo, JB, I got this guitar. I'm gonna send you the MIDI. Can you just replay this with your real guitar and send it back to me?
Yeah.
People don't think of it like that.
They don't think of it like that. That's what I'm saying. They thinking typical, but it's like, how can you push it? How can you explore certain things or experiment with certain things that's going to give you, because you can take that guitar sound and do, even if it's the fake guitar sound, you can do some things, some processing to that to make it sound like something completely new that you wouldn't get with a regular sound, or you wouldn't get with a guitar sound. So it's like, man, how can you push it a little bit, push that envelope a little bit to create something new, because that's the thing with now, like I'm just getting tired of hearing the same thing and the same sounds and the same, And it's like, yo, how can we do something different? How can we, and that's where for me personally, that's always where the inspiration comes from. It's like something a little left the center, but still to where people can to understand it, but a little left the center to where it's unique and it raises people's ear. Like, yo, what's that? Like, oh snap, where does this come from? Because when it's the same, people just they're not as in tune to it as they would with something that kind of catches them off by surprise.
I ain't gonna count. I did some weird shit a couple months ago, bro. So I had I was doing this video. Cause my grandma got these she got this vinyl, but she got a crate full of like vinyls, bro. Like just a crate full of them. So I got a little turntable from Target, and I was hooking up to my interface. And I guess the way I took the picture, I had like my guitar pedals sitting right there. So Coot the Truth, the sample maker, he DM'd me. He was like, "Oh, so you hooking up the turntable to the guitar pedal? That's crazy." So I was like, "No, nigga, I ain't doing that." But then I was like, "Hold on."
Oh,
I was like, "Hold on, man." Yeah,
that's crazy when you think about it.
I was like, "Yeah, bro, I did it. I ain't gonna lie, it was a flop, but I gotta try it again, gang. I ain't gonna count. I gotta try it again, bro. Like it's just little shit like that. Like
yeah.
I know we're talking about who the last interview we just did. Hazel, or was it
Kid Hazel?
It was Hazel.
Uh-huh.
It was somebody who was just talking about. It's like, bro, you're not gonna go into this and be like, let me make some new sauce today. It's it just happens. You feel me? Like just experimentation and I don't know, like what I'm trying to lead to is like how important is it to like stay like a student of the game? Like you can't never master production. You know what I'm saying? You're always learning something. Like how do you go, like, especially the stuff you make? Like what's your learning process now?
Just being able to learn from any and everybody, no matter what room I'm in, no matter who I'm around, no matter what situation, like everything is a learning situation for me, and then too, what I've learned and this contributes to a lot of my longevity too is like I'm only as good as the people around me. I keep other dope producers around me, and I learn from them. Like that's where my learning comes from. Even my producers who I work with so often, like we constantly sharing ideas and sharing our processes. Oh, how'd you come up with that? Oh, I did this. Let's hop on the FaceTime. I'm gonna show you how I, always learning, always sharing, but also learning in the process of sharing as well. And I think that's how we stay on our toes, and that's how we, are able to create magic and create unique sounds and push the envelope and things. Is we have to continue to learn from others and then take that information and add our own to it, and just be unique in our way of thinking.
How important are you about sound designing? Like I know you saying your process you'll spend forever on a one shot. Like give us some sound designing tips for producers who want to get into it.
Sound designing is the difference between us hearing like a loop that sounds like everybody else loop or it being incredible. It's all in the sound designing, because it's like how can you make this loop sound different? How can you put it in different spaces? That's not typical. How can you add certain textures to the sample to where it doesn't feel so cheap or so typical? So it's like that sound design is that, like trying certain things. One of my things when I'm sound designing, I'm always basing it off of usually two things, and it's like the space that it's in, putting certain sounds in different environments, but then also it's about adding those unique textures through using like distortions and fuzz, but using them in a different way. Like instead of using them how people would normally use them, like being creative with how I would use that, and for instance, like with the Yeezus, like it was times me and my guy, we would just go, we go in a warehouse, bring a guitar amp and set a mic up in the warehouse and and like beat on pans or beat on table and recording that, or playing certain things through the amp in the warehouse, but recording it through the mic as opposed to direct directly from the amp to the DAW. So it's like just being creative with how you approach the thing. It's kind of like you said earlier too, or just a minute ago, about running that turntable through that just to see what happens, because it might not work, but it may work. You know what I'm saying? You never know unless you try it. So it's just trying things and see what you come up with.
So this all the sauce you giving in Project Impact right here.
Yeah. No, it's actually a dope sound design workshop that I do in there. That's real dope.
I
Yeah.
gotta tap into that. That's what I'm trying to dive into this year. Definitely like sound design, bro. Trying to get into that. That's a whole like, it's like a producer learning audio engineering. Now you got all this sauce that you
that you can apply to. Yeah.
So give us a few details about when this Project Impact is launching.
Yeah, 25th through April 1st. So it's only a week, because we're only taking like 1,000 people to register. So there are only 1,000 slots available. So yeah, so it'll be from March 25th through April 1st. And that's like in 9 days, and you'll be able to enroll for that.
This ain't the same as YouTube. This is legendary information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
But to wrap it up, we always at this at the end of the interviews is if you could say anything like one thing that really means to you as far as advice to a producer, what would you say to him right now?
I would say there's so much power in being consistent. Consistency is key. So yeah, I would tell producers, like, if it's, for instance, if you're trying to if you want to get, let's just say, more placements, you have to, first of all, consistently be making beats every day. But not only that, you can't stop there. You got to consistently be networking to find more people to send it to. And then you can't stop there. You got to be consistently sending it out to people. So, you can't just get stuck in the, I'm making 100 beats a week. You have to be able to put those beats in people's hands too. But you can't, you have to be able to consistently do that. Set time slots for that. Every Tuesday and Thursday is going to be my days that I send out to my full list. And not only am I going to send it to them, like, I'm going to actually give proper greeting, the proper greetings in the email. I'm going to check on them, ask people how they're doing first. I'm going to provide a service, for free for them, whatever that may be, take a skill that you're good at and offer them, like, yo, I want to do this for you for free for a week or 2 weeks. And then also, I put a link of, if you want to check out some of my production, how can you be of service to somebody? I think prioritizing that opposed to, yo, I want to send you some beats. Yo, how can we collab? Will get you much further than just sending them beats. Being of service, like providing a service. Do it, like I say, do it for them for free for a little bit. Yo, I'll give you, like, I do mixing. Like, I'll mix 5 of your songs for free, just so you don't have to pay me nothing. I just want to do it, for you. How can you add value to someone? And I think that should be the priority, and then everything else should be under that.
Young Icy, he said you don't want to go vertical. You know what I'm saying? You want to go side to side. So your thing is figuring out, what does an artist need, you know what I'm saying, to get to the next level. He wants more views. He wants a better sound. He needs to be recorded. He needs a photographer. He needs all types of shit. You might need to take him to a jeweler. You know what I'm saying? So all of these different values get you that time and attention, which is that main currency we need, is time and attention for you to be able to pitch. Cause sometimes they don't want to hear shit. Like, what can you do for me? All right, now I want to hear. Now you done took me to get some smoke, took me to get some jewelry. I got studio time, you know what I'm saying? I got, you brought a chef that I could pay for, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of those different things sometimes need to be way before you sell.
That's right.
Nobody wants to be sold to.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
That's so true. That's so true, man. It's those little things before that can open up that opportunity. And a lot of people are not doing those little things prior to the, yo, I got some beats for you. You know what I'm saying? But it's the things that you do before that that could be the entrance to you being able to really catch someone's ear.
Yeah. Start a new company, you know what I'm saying? Car mobile detailing, start a clothing line, start something else that everybody can attach to. That the artist may see you have that. He don't care about the beats, but now that you get to get in that room, hey, pull these up too. Oh, for real? Yeah, this is my boy who does this. You know what I'm saying? Not the, oh, this is the guy who wants to be a producer. You're a human being just like the rest of them. So.
And realizing bartering is a good thing too. You know, there's been many a times early on in my career where I bartered certain things for, you know, for exchange of things. Sometimes barter is just as good as money, you know? Yeah. And realize too, like you can negotiate things. I remember back in the day where it was Talib Kweli. He was working on a mixtape and he wanted to use 2 of my beats for it. And, you know, at that time, you know, I needed money, but he was like, "No, I just want to just put this mixtape out." But he came to me and he was like, "Yo, let's figure something out." So we worked out, okay, if I give you these 2 beats for free, for my next album, I'll guarantee you 4 songs on my next album, like paid songs. So we did a little agreement. And I gave him the 2 beats for the mixtape. And then when he came to his album, I had 4 songs on there that I had already just because of that barter from giving him those 2 beats.
Man,
So like figure out ways how you can, you know, make things make sense. You know, because sometimes, you know, I get it. We don't want to give things out for free, but it's like, how can I figure out something of value if I give you these? You know, if I do this for you, how can we figure out something, or vice versa? You know, and it's all just like having that conversation sometime with people too. Just like, yo, okay, let's figure out, like, yo, yeah, you can use these, but you know, or vice versa. Yeah, give me this verse and I can do this for you, or you know, it's a matter. Everything is just trying to figure out a midpoint for everybody, but how can it work for both of us?
Y'all just gonna leave it with the gym broker like that, man? That's how y'all finna do, bro.
Gotta leave it off right, you know what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna lie, I do got this on my mind though, as far as consistency. Let's switch it up. You know, the producers who want to be consistent as far as that lane, they just got their answer. But let's talk about producers who have like a brand like Kits and does YouTube. What do you do when you're not, when you're trying to be consistent, but now you're in that, the content, the value of that content kind of goes down. So what should you do in that moment? Because you want to stay consistent, right? But at the same time, you don't want to put out bullshit. Feel me? So what are you doing?
I think at that point you have to figure out, you gotta kind of change the content up a little bit. You know, there's only so much you can give of something before it becomes like old to people or redundant. So figure out something, and it could be the simplest thing of you know, maybe adding more contest or more something interactive with your followers, or you know, it's like I say, it could be anything, but it's like finding something that's gonna make this feel different to your followers or to your listeners. You know, so I think you just got to change it every now and then. You got to reinvent. You know, you got to reinvent yourself every now and then. You can't do the same thing over and over and not expect it to get old at some point, because everything changes. You know, everything changes. So you got to be able to adapt change and figure out something new. Reinvent yourself.
I mean, there you go, man. We ain't finna get the sauce no more. We have it. Appreciate you for tapping in with us, bro.
Nah, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's always good times coming up here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's a wrap, man.